The moment you realize you've outgrown everyone, one day, something inside you shifts. Not loudly, not dramatically, just a quiet realization that the life around you no longer fits the person you're becoming. The conversations start to feel shallow, the same complaints, the same gossip, the same endless talk about things that don't actually move anyone forward. And while everyone else seems comfortable in that cycle, your mind begins to resist it. You listen, but it drains you. You stay, but it feels forced. And that's when the uncomfortable thought creeps in. You're growing, but the people around you aren't. At first, you try to ignore it. You tell yourself you're overthinking. You try to laugh at the same jokes, participate in the same habits, and pretend that everything still feels the same. But it doesn't, because once your mind expands, it refuses to shrink back to its old size. You start thinking about bigger goals, bigger ideas, a bigger version of your life. Meanwhile, the environment around you keeps circling the same routines, the same mindsets, the same limitations that once felt normal. And the more aware you become, the more uncomfortable it feels to stay where you are. Here's the truth. Most people avoid facing. Growth creates distance, not because you suddenly think you're better than others, but because your mind is moving in a direction they never planned to go. Your priorities change. Your standards rise. Your tolerance for wasted time disappears. And suddenly the things that once felt normal begin to feel suffocating. The endless complaining, the lack of ambition, the comfort with staying exactly the same year after year. You start noticing patterns you never saw before. Excuses disguised as logic, fear disguised as being realistic, mediocrity disguised as being happy with what you have. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. That awareness changes everything, because now you're standing in a strange place, a place most people never reach. You're no longer the person you used to be, but you're still surrounded by the environment that shaped the old version of you. That creates friction. You feel it in conversations that go nowhere. You feel it in advice that suddenly sounds limiting. You feel it in the strange silence when you start talking about goals that are bigger than comfort. And here's the brutal truth. Most people won't grow with you, not because they can't, but because they won't choose to. Growth requires discomfort, discipline, self-awareness, and the willingness to question everything about the life you've accepted. Most people would rather protect their comfort than challenge their potential. So when you start changing, they notice. Maybe they don't say it directly, but the energy shifts. The jokes about your ambition start appearing. The subtle comments about how you've changed. The pressure to stay the same person they used to. Because your growth disrupts the balance. It forces people to confront a question they'd rather avoid. If they can grow, why haven't I? And instead of asking that question, many people choose the easier path. They try to pull you back into the old mindset, back into the old habits, back into the version of you that made everything feel familiar. But deep down, you already know something important. You can't go back. Because the moment you realize you've outgrown the environment around you, the real challenge begins. Not changing your life, but having the courage to keep growing, even when it means leaving comfort behind. The first brutal truth: growth makes people uncomfortable. Here's the harsh reality you need to face. When you outgrow the people around you, you start making them uncomfortable. Not intentionally, not out of arrogance. Simply because your growth reflects something they don't want to see in themselves. Your ambition becomes a mirror. Your discipline becomes a reminder. Your focus becomes a spotlight on their excuses. And humans, by nature, don't like looking at uncomfortable truths. So when your life starts moving forward while theirs stays stagnant, reactions happen. They label you. They whisper behind your back. They joke about your seriousness. They subtly, sometimes unconsciously, try to pull you back into their comfort zone. You've probably experienced it. The subtle remarks, the judgmental glances, the friends who used to cheer you on, now questioning why you're so different. Here's the reality most people refuse to admit. Growth threatens them more than failure ever could, because stagnation is safe, mediocrity is comfortable, and your evolving mindset exposes the weakness in their routines. Your new ideas, your higher standards, your refusal to settle for average, it all makes them uneasy. Some will leave quietly, some will criticize, Some will try to convince you to compromise your goals just so they can feel better about staying the same. And here's the kicker. Not everyone who resists is your enemy. Some simply aren't ready. Some are still trapped in the life they've accepted. And when they see your courage to challenge yourself, it reminds them of the potential they've buried, the risks they've avoided, and the dreams they've abandoned. Your growth is inconvenient, and when you notice the subtle pushback, it's easy to take it personally. But that would be a mistake. Their resistance isn't about you. It's about the comfort they refuse to leave behind. The brutal truth is this. Your evolution will separate you from the majority of people you know. That's not failure. That's progress. It's proof that you're moving towards something bigger, while others cling to the familiar. And if you don't accept this, you'll waste time trying to force connection where it no longer exists, trying to fit back into the old version of your life that no longer serves you. The real power comes when you stop seeking approval for your growth. Stop justifying it. Stop apologizing for your ambition. Recognize that your evolution will make others uncomfortable, and that's a sign you're on the right path. Growth isn't supposed to make everyone happy. Growth is supposed to make you stronger, smarter, and unstoppable. And the sooner you embrace that truth, the faster you'll leave behind the people who can't handle your rise. Because here's the ultimate reality. Some people will only ever understand the old you, the person you used to be, and that's okay. You're no longer living in their world, you're living in yours. The second harsh truth, loneliness is the price of evolution. Here's the part no one warns you about. Outgrowing everyone around you comes with a price. Loneliness. At first, it doesn't feel like a punishment. It feels quiet, almost subtle. Conversations become shorter. Invitations grow rare. Connections that once felt effortless start to fade, and you begin to notice a strange emptiness around you. This is the transition phase, the invisible, brutal stage that separates who you were from who you're becoming. Most people never get through it because it's uncomfortable. Humans are social creatures. We crave belonging. We fear isolation, but evolution doesn't care about comfort. Growth demands space, even if that space feels empty. The truth is harsh. Most people would rather remain stuck in mediocrity than sit alone in growth. And that's exactly why so many relationships start to crack. Friends who were once close can't relate to your evolving mindset. Family who used to understand you may question your choices. Even colleagues who tolerated your ambition suddenly feel threatened by your momentum. It's not because they're bad people, it's because their minds are still anchored to the life they've accepted. They're protecting what they know even if it limits them. And your evolution threatens their sense of stability. That's why loneliness becomes inevitable. And here's the truth, most people never realize. Isolation is not a punishment, it's preparation. That quiet space, that emptiness, is where transformation happens. It's where your identity stretches without the constant weight of expectation pulling you back. In that space, your thoughts grow sharper, your vision grows clearer, your standards rise. You start to understand the person you're becoming, not the person everyone else wants you to be. But here's the brutal part. This stage is painful. Your mind questions everything. You second-guess your choices. You wonder if leaving certain people behind was too harsh, if your ambition is worth the solitude. It is. Loneliness is the price of evolution. Because your environment cannot grow as fast as you. If it did, you wouldn't need to evolve. You'd stay comfortable. And comfort kills potential. The moment you accept that loneliness is a natural part of growth, something shifts. You stop trying to force relationships to fit your new life. You stop apologizing for wanting more. You stop shrinking yourself just to make others comfortable. Because here's the unspoken truth. If you stay surrounded by small-minded people for too long, your own growth will be stifled. You'll slowly shrink back to match the room. Your ambitions will fade. Your vision will dim. So yes, loneliness hurts. Yes, it feels unfair, but it's also a sign. A signal that you're moving in the right direction, that the old patterns, the old conversations, the old relationships, they no longer serve you. Embrace it, sit in it, use it. The solitude you feel now is the soil where your greatest growth will take root, because evolution doesn't happen in comfort zones. It happens in the silence of your own determination, in the spaces others refuse to enter, and in the courage to stand alone. until your environment finally catches up. The third truth: you must stop explaining your growth. At some point, you'll realize something most people never understand. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your evolution. When you outgrow the people around you, there's a temptation to justify it, to soften your ambition so others won't feel threatened, to explain why you're no longer participating in the same conversations, routines, or habits, to apologize for thinking bigger, aiming higher, wanting more. Stop. Because the moment you start explaining yourself, you start shrinking yourself. Not everyone will understand your growth. Not everyone will cheer for your evolution. Some will feel insecure, some will feel jealous, some will feel abandoned. And when that happens, your natural reaction might be to defend, to convince, to make them comfortable. That's a trap. Here's the brutal truth. The version of you that's growing, evolving, demanding more from life, that version doesn't need permission, doesn't need approval, doesn't need validation from people who chose to stay small. Trying to make them comfortable is the fastest way to sabotage yourself. It's the fastest way to dilute your own vision, because growth requires focus, not negotiation, courage, not compromise, discipline, not discussion. The people who were once close to you, the ones who cheered your smaller victories, laughed at your old jokes, and shared in your old routines, may no longer fit into your new life. That's not betrayal, that's evolution. Your energy now belongs to the person you're becoming, not the person they expected you to be. Your standards are higher, your priorities are sharper. Our time is too valuable to explain, justify, or negotiate. And this is where most people fail. They dilute their growth to keep others comfortable. They shrink their ambitions. They settle for less. They apologize for wanting more. Don't do that. Some people will leave. Some will criticize. Some will try to pull you back. Accept it. Growth will naturally filter your relationships. Not everyone is meant to walk with you into the life you're building. And that's okay. Here's the reality. Your evolution belongs to you, not to them. You are not responsible for making everyone else understand it. You are not responsible for dragging anyone into your future. You are responsible for not holding yourself back. Stop explaining. Stop apologizing. Stop apologizing. The world will notice your results before it notices your words. Your actions will speak louder than any explanation ever could. And when you finally embrace this truth, something shifts. The weight lifts. You stop wasting energy on people who can't keep up. You stop shrinking your vision to make others comfortable. You start standing fully in the power of your own growth. Because here's the harsh reality. Growth is not a social activity. It's a personal revolution. And revolutions don't need permission slips. They demand commitment. Your growth will make some uncomfortable. That's proof you're on the right path. That's proof you're evolving. That's proof you are no longer the person who used to fit into their small, familiar world. And that's exactly how it's supposed to be. Outgrowing everyone around you isn't a tragedy. It's not a curse. It's a signal. A loud, undeniable signal that you're moving into a version of life most people only dream about. The truth is this. Your life will only expand to the size of the standards you refuse to lower, not the standards you talk about, not the goals you post on social media. The standards you defend, the ones you refuse to compromise, the ones you live by every single day. When you realize you've outgrown the people around you, you're faced with a choice most people will never dare to make. You can shrink yourself to fit back into the comfort of the familiar, the same conversations, the same routines, the same excuses. You can lower your vision so that no one feels uncomfortable. You can pretend to stay the same so that everyone else doesn't feel challenged by your evolution. Or you can grow anyway. You can embrace the discomfort. You can stand alone if you have to. You can defend your standards, even when others call you different, too serious, or unrealistic. You can chase your potential with a relentless focus, knowing full well that some people won't understand it. Some people will leave, and some people will never walk past you again. This is the brutal truth about growth. It's not social. It's not convenient. It's not guaranteed to come with approval or applause. It's lonely, uncomfortable, and sometimes terrifying. But it's also the only path to becoming someone extraordinary. Here's the final harsh reality. Not everyone is meant to grow with you. Some people were only ever meant to meet the older version of you, the version that laughed at the same jokes, tolerated the same routines, and stayed small so the room could feel comfortable. That version is gone, and good. The version you are becoming is stronger, sharper, wiser, focused, dangerous to mediocrity, immune to excuses, unstoppable. And that version doesn't wait for permission. That version doesn't apologize for ambition. That version doesn't shrink to make anyone else comfortable. So stop trying to fit back into the life that limits you. Stop apologizing for evolving. Stop seeking approval for the person you're becoming. If you've outgrown the room, it's not a tragedy, it's an opportunity. A call to build a bigger room, a call to find people who match your energy, your ambition, your focus, a call to raise your standards, defend your vision, and refuse to settle for anything less than the life you're capable of creating. And here's the challenge. Most people won't understand it. They'll question it. They will resist it. They will try to pull you back. But that's not your problem anymore. That's theirs. Your problem, your duty, is to keep moving forward, to keep growing, to defend your standards, to stand in the discomfort, to embrace the loneliness, to build a life so massive, so powerful, that it forces everyone around you to either step up or step aside. So ask yourself, will you shrink to keep everyone comfortable, or will you grow until your life becomes something others can only talk about? The choice is yours. The consequences are yours. The growth is yours. And one thing is certain, if you dare to choose growth, nothing will ever stop you.